everyone. My name is Danna-Gift. I am your host, and I have with me a very special, amazing woman named Hannah. Hannah, by the way, before I get into your introduction, I had no idea your last name was Moody.
Wait, really?
A
lot of people say that. They're like, wait.
I thought it was Rose.
They're like, I thought it was Rose, yeah.
Yeah.
Just because Rose is so much cooler, in my opinion. But
I mean...
it's actually my middle name.
Oh, okay. So it is your name. So Hannah Rose Moody.
Yes.
Good. Okay.
Yeah.
Don't stalk her, guys. I'm like, let me just... What's your social security
That's part of the
number?
reason I like going by my middle name. Because people can't find me as easily.
That's actually really smart. I used to have my name... fucking sketched on the side of my car. Stupid.
Oh my god, yeah.
Anyways, Hannah over here, we met. We actually couldn't figure out how we met.
We were trying to remember, and it was just we're like, okay, wait, how did we meet?
Yeah.
We know that we had met at some point.
Yeah, clearly, we're here.
But, how?
Yeah.
It just kind of happened, and then, it's just, been that way.
Yeah, we just met through a mutual friend. And ever since, we just really hit it off, and I've had an opportunity to learn about Hannah's story. She's talked about her past, but she's had a really cool, crazy past. I mean, you'll get to see who she is today, and it's really cool. Because not a lot of people have the same life experience that you have. 100%. There's only a few people who could really handle it and come out the way that you have. So that's the story we want to talk about today.
Thanks, girl. Dawn has just always been such an inspiring woman to me, in my life, and great friend, and just one of those people that I feel I can come to with anything. So I feel we always have the best convos, and
we do. I love
we could just talk for forever, and it's she just such a great person to have conversations with. So I couldn't be more excited to be here and dive on in. So it's gonna get juicy. Just saying.
Yes. For those of you who don't know Hannah, she has had a past where she was a dancer, and now she's come out highly spiritual. She's done a lot of deep diving, done a lot of inner work. The combination of the dancing path, do you mind if I call it stripping?
Yeah.
I always don't know.
I know. Personally, I like to say dancing just because it sounds better, but sometimes I'm do people know what I'm referring to? Because sometimes people are oh yeah, hip hop or professional. I'm I mean, it's kind of professional.
You're yeah, professional. I do get paid for it. So yeah.
Right. Yeah. It's just sometimes it gives off the wrong idea, and I think society has become a lot more accepting of it as of the past few years with Cardi B and Megan Thee Stallion, all these women, even J-Lo, and hustlers, and it's become more of a acceptable quote unquote thing, but it's still I don't know, I like dancing. Yeah. But for this podcast, I don't mind. Okay. We can interchange.
We'll interchange. Yeah. Start from the beginning. How did you find yourself in that industry? What was the first moment that you kind of felt called to it? Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't say I necessarily ever felt called to it. It's so funny, looking back, because, and I actually think about this all the time. I'm I would have never expected this to be my life at all. you know, and I think we could all say that to some extent about 100%. A lot of the places that we've found ourselves in life, a lot of the experiences we've had, we would never have predicted it, most likely.
Yeah.
But that's the beauty and the excitement of life, and it's no one actually wants to live a predictable life, you know.
Yeah.
I thinking about my life as oh, if this were a Netflix series or a book or something, you know, would it be exciting? Would it be entertaining? Would I want to take part in it?
Yeah.
You know, because if not, then what am I doing?
100%. Nobody wants to read a boring book anyways. Nobody wants to hear about Sarah who walked down the street and was lived a very comfy, cushiony job. Nobody wants to hear that story.
No, exactly. And I will never forget this one day. I don't even know the context of any of it except for the fact that I was getting in this elevator with this woman. She was probably in her late 70s, early 80s, and she just started talking to me about I don't know, she wrote books or something for, I don't even remember the context of the conversation, but all I remember is her saying, she was I lived a really great life. I am so excited and like proud of my life. Like she was just very content with the life that she had lived.
Yes.
And it stuck out to me so much because I don't know that a lot of people can say that. Like like we hear so often like people, oh, like don't be on your deathbed and being like, oh, I wish I would have done this.
Regret.
You know? Exactly. And it's like, it's so nice to hear from somebody that was like, wow, you know, I really enjoyed my life and I think that I lived a really cool life. And so anyways, to come back full circle to the question, it's like, this wasn't something that I would have ever planned or predicted, or it's not like I felt like quote unquote called for it, but it's like, I just like found myself in that position. And it's like, after so many years, you look back, you're like, whoa, like one decision changed the trajectory of everything, you know?
Yeah.
And that decision was literally just me looking for a job. Yeah. Like I was in college and I was like, I want to make money. Like I had always like worked hard from the age of like 14. I was like working. I loved to work. I loved to be able to make my own money. Yeah. So I could like buy myself stuff because, you know, my parents weren't the most well off. So it was like, I'd rather be able to get stuff on my own. Yeah. I liked feeling independent, taking care of myself. And so I tried going the quote unquote normal route, and I actually really wanted a job at Starbucks, but I applied to like probably like 5 Starbucks and nobody accepted me. And I was like, well, I don't know what else to do. I'm going on Craigslist. Yeah. And there
how long ago was this?
This was I was 20 years old. This was in college. Okay. Yeah. So I was what was I, junior in college? Yeah, junior. So, yeah, so I remember seeing this ad on Craigslist, and it was like, no experience necessary. It was actually
Craigslist ad. I forgot about
this. Was like, okay, it was
at the height of Craigslist.
Yes, it was. Like, people actually, like, were okay on Craigslist. Yeah. Like, you could find jobs and things like that.
Cars, like, whatever you wanted.
Right, exactly. So... anyways, it was for a waitress position. I show up and I had no idea it was at a strip club. Oh, like it was a full on, I walk in like 3 p.m. in the day and there's like a naked woman on stage. I'm like, all right, we're here. Like,
yeah, I'm committed.
Yeah. And anyways, I got hired and honestly, I felt so like beautiful. I felt so appreciated. I felt so like important and people noticed me, like the managers, the staff, you know, like obviously the guests. But like at all these other jobs that I had interviewed at, you know, at Starbucks and other places, like it felt like I wasn't good enough. And so to feel that, I was like, I've never felt this way in a job environment before. Like I had a job for a couple weeks before that at this diner, and like I felt like trash every time I left there because I just got treated like poorly. Wow. And it was crazy that like in this environment I felt so like taken care of and so safe, and like I got walked out to my car and like, you know, people like genuinely wanted to talk to me and like give me money and buy me drinks or whatever, you know, like I felt so like feminine.
Yeah, it's a community. I mean, like, so I used to bartend at a nightclub, and obviously the experience is different, but it was very much like it felt like a family. Yeah, you know, the bar backs were always like having your back. My manager always had my back. Like no matter what, if there was somebody pissing me off at the bar, you could just be like, hey, like help me out of here, like get this person out of here. So I totally understand.
Exactly.
You've been doing this for a total of how many years now?
Yeah, so basically I waitressed for like, I don't know, 3 months maybe, and it was like decent money, but I only worked like 2 or 3 days a week. Okay. And I saw how much the dancers were making, and I was like, well, maybe I should try it. You know, so I actually went to a different club because I thought it was weird to work at the same club that I like had already like worked at as like an actual employee. I was like, this seems a little weird. So I went to a different club and I started there, and that was like right before I turned 21. So I'm 28 now. Or sorry, I'm 29. Holy shit, I totally just forgot my age.
I don't know my age.
I'm like at this point, I don't know, it's all downhill. No, I'm just kidding. I'm 29 now, so it's been about 8.5 years.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Like on and off though.
And overall, like what if you could summarize your main feeling about, stripping or dancing, what would you say? Like, have you come to a happy place with it, or?
Yeah, so it's definitely been a journey, a very, very long and challenging and just crazy, incredible journey. But overall, like, it's definitely, like, brought up a lot of, like, shame and, like, judgment within myself. But I think that was already there. I think this kind of helped bring it out. So while there were definitely some, like, dark times, I think it was all necessary, like, to kind of almost, like, uproot those things within me.
It's like facing you.
Right.
Like, you can't run away from it.
Yeah.
It's right here.
Exactly.
So you have to face it.
Like, I had to face that. Otherwise, like, who knows how long that would have been there in my life, like, subconsciously, like, affecting me. So it was definitely a challenge to work through a lot of that, especially growing up, which I'm sure we'll, like, get into, like, in a very religious family and, being very in religion for my entire life. And so that really made it extremely difficult as well, just kind of figuring out, like, my own beliefs and my own thoughts about everything, and just, like, being pulled left and right, like, what do I believe versus, like, what am I feeling from what I've been, like, raised in, or what society, or exactly. Like, kind of, like, figuring out how to separate my own beliefs. And it's still definitely a struggle. I don't think I'm ever gonna, like, get there, I don't think we ever get there, but there's always work to do. But I feel like where I'm at right now, I've really come to a place of, like, just acceptance of myself and acceptance of the lifestyle, and, like, not judging anyone within it, and just not having any sort of, like, I guess, like, negative outlook on it. Even though there are some things that I disagree with and I dislike about it, it's not like I have, like, a negative outlook on it. Like, it's really had a lot of, like, positive impact in my life overall. And I think just really focusing on that has really allowed me to, like, feel more accepting of it. Like, you know what, this was my path specifically chosen for me. So I might as well just like take what I can from it and not, like, judge and shame it,
That's good. Yeah. Because I feel like a lot of people will see that as an opportunity to stay stuck in the energy and thinking that it's, like, a negative thing, but it really, like, a lot of bad things just happen in our lives, and it's not anyone to blame or whatever, but it's really how we perceive it.
Right.
That how it shows how we come out at the end.
Absolutely.
Like, speaking more on your journey, when did you start to have this, like, deeper feeling of, like, okay, I don't think I want to do this anymore, and, like, when did the whole, like, your spiritual journey begin? Because I know you said you grew up pretty Christian? Christian, yeah. So how did that all, like, transpire?
Yeah, I mean, it's really hard to, like, pinpoint, like, any exact moment. I think it was just, like, an overtime thing, and it's just kind of gotten stronger over the years. But obviously, because I grew up religious, I think I always had that, like, pull the whole time that I was dancing. It was this whole, like pull of, like, this is wrong, but, like, I still want to do it. And I struggled with it the entire time. Like, it's been it's been a battle for years, but it's taught me so much, and it's taught me to kind of, like I mentioned before, like, figure out what I believe in the process and really look at those things. Because I think a lot of the ways that we're raised and the beliefs that we believe as, like, we're growing up, they never get questioned. It's like we just take them on because our parents or whoever has given them to us, and then
that's what we're told.
Yeah, that's what we're told. And we don't know anything else. But then it's like, at some point, we should question those things.
100%, yeah.
And so that's kind of what it helped me do, is just question. Of course, I never didn't believe in God. Like, I've always, and I'm grateful that I was raised in religion, because I always had that foundation. So I always, like, had, like, I've had faith in God the entire time that I was dancing, but I would say that I didn't have a relationship with him until, like, I don't know, like, maybe a couple years in, when I started just feeling so, like, empty and just, like, very shameful about what I was doing. And, you know, just with the lifestyle, it's a lot of toxicity. Yeah. And I was noticing a lot of that toxicity in my life and my, like, quote unquote friendships, relationships, you know, like, just, like, a lot of betrayal, a lot of distrust, and just, like, really, like, horrible situations that left me feeling very, like, alone and very just, like, what am I doing, you know? And so I think that's kind of what brought me to start really seeking God, instead of it being something that I, like, had to do every Sunday. And, you know, it was,
you adopted the religion of it, but you mentioned relationship.
Yes.
So elaborate on that, because I want to hear. Yeah. I mean, I have my own views on, like, a relationship with God or the universe or whatever you want to call the super force that controls us.
Super force.
But yeah, I want to hear your description, I guess, of, like, what a relationship with God is like for you.
Yeah, that's such a good question. It's something different every day, which makes it, like, I feel like it's the greatest adventure of life. And that's why I've really been starting to look at it, like, a lot recently, is an adventure. Yeah. Instead of a destination. I actually saw a quote on Instagram the other day that says something about that in relationships. Like, if you can start looking at them as, like, a journey and an adventure instead of a destination, you, like, can remove a lot of expectations and, like, just chill, you know, like, actually enjoy
be present, guys.
Like, relationships are meant to be enjoyed. They're not supposed to, like, get somewhere. Yeah. You know? And so
that's how I feel about sex, guys.
Yes.
I mean, honestly, it's not, don't just keep pounding away until you finish the job, okay? Like, it's a journey.
Nobody, like, no one wants that. Yeah. Like, come on now. But yeah, it's a journey. It's exciting if you want it to be. You know, and I think a lot of people have this idea of God that it's going to be this hard, like, just like a parent that's, like, says no to everything and, you know, has, like, be home by this time and do this, that, and do these chores. And, do, you know, it's, like, that's not what it is at all. It's literally, like, a friendship. Yeah. It's, you know, however much you pour in, you're going to get out of it. And what I've learned is, like, the more I lean into God, like, the more he leans into me. And it's not that he's not leaning into me when I'm not leaning into him, but I'm not going to be aware of it because I'm basically, like, turning my back on him, and he's just like, hey, like, I'm right here. But I don't know that until I turn around and, like, give him my attention. And it's like, you have to think about it like you would any friendship. Like, if you're not pouring into that friend, if you're not checking in on them, like, seeing them, spending time with them, you know, like, how is that going to make them feel? You know, it's like, it has to be both people putting in the same effort. Okay. Otherwise, it's, you know, it's like, that's not really a relationship. Yeah. So, like, what I learned in just, you know, the years of me actually seeking him on my own and not, like, following, quote unquote, like, religion and doing it this way because that's what we do, you know, like, it allowed me to actually, like, figure it out myself. Yeah. Right? Which I think it goes back to, you know, just questioning your beliefs, questioning your values. Like, when you can actually figure out yourself, like, what you actually believe, what you actually value, what your morals are, like, all these things, instead of just being like, oh, well, this is just how it is, and this is how I was raised, or what. Like, be open-minded. Yeah. You know, and, like, get curious. Like, constantly. Like, don't just decide one thing and then that's how it is for the rest of your life. Like, constantly be questioning yourself and questioning, like, what people have told you, you know. It's like, that's part of, like, the adventure of life.
I completely agree. And I feel like that quality trait of questioning things is not so common anymore. A lot of people just go on social media and they're like, oh, this must be the truth because whatsoever this influencer I love fucking posted about it, so this has got to be the truth. It's definitely not the truth. Like, questioning is such an important quality trait that I think everybody should have.
Absolutely.
So with you questioning things, so you've been in spirituality for some time. You've had you understood religion, but you recently developed this relationship with God. How did that combine with the lifestyle, and like what were the areas that you really like struggled with, aside from like what your parents told you?
Like the lifestyle of like dancing?
Mm-hmm.
I'm like burping from
I think
this.
it's Waterloo, guys.
Oh my god.
You're not paid for that.
Sparkling water. Guys, I knew this was a bad idea.
And not so much just dancing, like how did you operate like outside of the club, and like what were you doing to seek God and that inner work?
Yeah. It's crazy because I still just like laugh at this, and I'm not gonna lie, I want to share this because I have some like judgment about myself for it, but like
we all judge ourselves very harshly, unfortunately.
Like I would literally be that girl like that would be standing in church on Sunday and like be coming from the club like the night before, you know what I mean? And
hey, I think we've all done
like
that.
I'm pretty sure they sing about that in some rap songs. And I'm like, yep, that's me.
Yeah,
that's
yes,
me.
I am.
But you know what? I would still make it a priority. So to me, like that's
still putting in the work.
Exactly.
I mean, and like you said, it's a relationship, and if you think about like an intimate relationship, that person who decided to be with you accepted you as you were and are.
Yeah.
So who cares if you yeah.
No, I just felt the need to admit that, guys.
Yeah, I love
that. But anyways, what was the question?
You were saying you felt like you started I don't know. I kind of got lost in that statement. I was like, wait a minute.
Wait, the question was how did I operate outside of the club? Right?
Yeah, like how did you find a balance between spirituality and dancing?
Yeah. Okay, so I mean, it was definitely like I wasn't always like perfect, obviously, as none of us are, but it was like anything else, like working out or morning routine, whatever you try to do as a routine, like you're gonna fall off sometimes. Yeah. And it would happen, like I would be very like pursuing of my relationship with the Lord. I did my daily devotionals, I would go to church, I would pray, I would just like really make sure I was spending time.
Yeah, I hope the audio is not picking this up, but I think it is. We have hecklers outside. They're in the shape of dogs. But.
Gotta love them.
Yeah, sorry. We're so sidetracked today. We've been having a day.
It's definitely been a day. But yeah, so I would try my best to just really make sure that I was prioritizing that time. And I would fall off for sure, and I think the main struggle that I noticed was I started to only see my worth and my value in like money, and it became like an idol to me. And that's when I would really fall off with God, or I would just feel like not right.
Yeah.
Like, and I almost felt like almost like I didn't even want to prioritize him then, because I felt ashamed of like coming to him because I knew that I was putting something above him, and I never wanted to like admit it, but I really did only feel good and happy and satisfied, and what I thought was happy and satisfied like when I was making good money. And when I would have bad nights, or it would just be kind of like a bad week financially or whatnot, I would just feel like really shitty. And then I would come back to God, and then I would feel like I don't want to dance anymore, like screw this. And it would just be this cycle, and it happened a lot. Like, so
it was a lot of like tug and war.
Yeah, it was definitely like a tug of war for sure. But I think as I really just, I don't know what exactly happened, but I think it was when I started getting into like self-development, and really just diving deeper into myself and learning about myself, and really taking the time to get to know myself and love myself and fully like embrace who I was, like that's when I really started to really seek God more too. Because in seeking like who am I and what do I believe and like just who is my identity, like where do I find my identity and how do I decide what that is, like that's when I really started to seek out God more. And that's when I felt like I don't want to do this anymore, like this doesn't feel right to me, like I feel just like empty, like it felt so meaningless because I would see like the money come in and then it would be gone, and like the money would come in, it was like these like highs and lows and it was never like steady. And whenever I came back to God, it was like steady, like I felt this like peace even in the midst of like, holy shit, like how am I gonna pay my rent, or you know, like I feel like terrible about myself and what am I doing with my life and everything's going wrong, you know, my boyfriend's cheating on me and you know, I'm getting like disrespected by men at work and for $1 here and $2 there, and like I would always just find this peace like when I came to God. So I started recognizing, you know, just how important that was and how like, you know, this wasn't like, I knew this wasn't it for me, you know, and I didn't plan on it going as long as it did. But I was like, okay, I know that he's using me in some way with this, but like I know there's like so much more meant for me. And like I just have to continue to seek him and like he will guide me, you know.
I love that. Do you feel like without like the like societal standards and your parents telling you, you know, about God and what he wants, do you feel like eventually you would have found your way to God and that he would be telling you that there's an incongruency between the two lifestyles? That's a tough question. That's like a loaded question.
I'm like, wow. I've never thought of that. That's like, I mean, I feel like I kind of have thought of it in a sense, but like, I don't know. It's so hard to think of that. And sometimes I wonder how, like, I would love to trade places with someone for a day who wasn't raised in religion and didn't ever really know God and then came to find him, because to me it's like, yeah, I found him, but I never didn't know him. Like, I've never lived my life without him. So, yeah, which, and that's what I am very grateful to have been raised in religion for that reason. But at the same time, yeah, I mean, it's so hard to even picture or like imagine how life would be like without knowing him, because he's just always, it's like the sky is blue, like it's just a thing, you know, that's just always how it's been. So yeah, it's really, I mean, I think to answer your question, like I feel like like I definitely would have, because I think he, not to say like, oh, I'm so special, but like he would have like sought me out. Like I truly believe that in my heart. And it's not just me, it's like every single person. Like he does seek you out, and it's just a matter of time, you know, like as long as you're listening, as long as you are open, and I feel like as long as you just are seeking something, like you will find him. Yeah. You know,
a deeper understanding of yourself and spirituality.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you feel like he, at this moment in time, do you feel like he's calling you in a different direction?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, definitely at this moment. I've never felt it like stronger before. Like I've definitely felt it before, and I've, you know, like quote unquote quit many times before, thinking it was last time, but knowing deep in my heart that it really wasn't. And like,
I know that feeling.
I
feel that way about my ice cream, honestly. Like, I can't get over it. And whiskey, I'm like, ooh.
Every time you're like, all right, this is it. No, you know it's not.
Oh, like, I'm one of those girls that still showed up fucking drunk at church. I'm like, hey guys, I swear it. I was like, this is the last night.
But like, your intentions are always like, your intentions are always good.
It was there.
So that's all that matters. But yeah, I mean, I totally forgot the question.
You're saying, you do feel like it is, like he is calling you in a different direction at this time.
He's calling me in a different direction. I definitely feel that because as I've grown and as I've discovered more about myself, I've realized how much I've just outgrown the club and the lifestyle. And before, I wanted to quit for a lot of the wrong reasons, I guess, as far as like, I felt like I shouldn't be there. I felt ashamed. I felt like I was too good for it. Just many reasons that it was like I was trying to force myself out of it when I really wasn't ready. It's like when you keep trying to, you know, like end like a toxic relationship, but you know you're going to go back.
Yeah.
And it's like, don't try to end it before you're ready. Like, you will be ready. Like, just give it time.
Yeah.
And I kept trying to quit before I was like actually ready. And part of the reason I wanted to go back wasn't even for the money. It was literally for just like the feeling I would get. It was such an empowering feeling where I got to be fully feminine and sensual and just like confident, and this whole other version of myself that when I first started, I think I saw it as almost like an alter ego.
Oh, cool.
And as I grew and learned more about myself, it was like I kind of like morphed into that alter ego. It was almost like the two became one, and now I can like access that within myself, like without being at the club. So I think that's when I started to realize, like, what's the point of this now? Like, I know that this is within me and I have access to this at any point, and it doesn't have to be through this lifestyle.
Yeah.
You know, like I can kind of utilize that same energy and that empowerment and that feminine energy, you know, just in a different way and in different contexts, and get that same like empowered feeling not doing that. And it was just it got to a point, it's getting to a point, I mean now, like it's really at a point where I'm just like, I'm over it, like honestly. It's like you just grow out of things, and you can feel it in your body. Like if you're in tune with your body, it's like you feel when things are not in alignment with you anymore. And it's like, it's not like I have any, like I mentioned earlier, like no negative feelings towards it, just like I'm just kind of like done. Like it's a lot of energy, and I don't want to be spending my energy on it anymore. Like I'd rather spend my energy on things that I feel will create more meaning and like more impact. And I know God is like calling me to those things. I can't say exactly what they are yet, but because I don't know, but I'm definitely getting there. And I
really know.
I really don't. Like I have no idea, but I feel like very excited. So it's like, I think as long as like I just remain open-minded, it's like I have some of my own ideas, right? But you never know where God's going to call you. And I have a feeling it's like outside of anything I could ever think of myself, because that's always how he works. So I'm like, there's no point in me like making this big old plan for myself. I'm just going to remain open and continue to like seek him. And yeah, I believe that it's going to, I don't know where it's going to take me, but I'm definitely excited.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
I definitely want to dive more into, you know, the things that you're moving towards in the future. But before that, I do want to dive a little bit more into your past, because I always find it interesting to hear people's stories of like how they ended up doing the career choices and whatever the choices are. Do you feel like, so you mentioned that dancing has allowed you to be empowered. Do you feel like before dancing, did you have like confidence things where you never really felt so confident or anything like that?
Yeah, that is a really good question. I think I had felt most confident like when I was playing I think that the last thing I can remember is when I was playing soccer.
Oh, wow.
But that
I
was
didn't even know you played soccer.
Yeah, only for a couple of years. That was like the first sport that I like really played.
That's cool. I'm always afraid of people kicking my shins. Like, that's my Achilles heel.
Yeah. Yeah, I loved it. Like I was obsessed. I played from 3rd grade until I think like 7th grade or something. But I was pretty good. I had literally coaches calling me and they like wanted me on their team.
I believe it.
And
the people on the podcast can't see you, but the people in the video, well, shit, they can't see you either. But I'm telling you, this girl's built. She's fit.
From a young age, it was soccer for sure. But I was pissed because I actually had to turn down all of their offers because they were part of the what was it, like the competitive league or whatever, where I was just in.
Oh, like you would have to leave school and like commit.
Yeah, it was like it was more of a commitment. It was like the real, league, and then
like you would probably get sent overseas to like play or some shit.
Yeah, I don't know. So I don't know if it was that crazy, but basically they had games on Sunday mornings, and so my parents were like, yeah, no, we got church, so that was a no. And every time the coaches would call, they would just tell them like, nope, sorry, and I would just be so mad because I'm like, what the heck. But then I remember my dad actually made a good point. He was like, well, now you get to be like the big fish, like in the little pond. So basically I was like the like best one on the team, not to brag, but I was, because it's like a lot of these kids were just playing for fun. It was like the league soccer, like it was like the free one or whatever, and their parents just wanted to put them in a sport, so they weren't really taking it seriously. But I got out there, I was like, oh no, we're fucking winning this thing,
this shit's going down.
So anyways, I feel like I was really confident like on the field, but I think after I stopped playing soccer, I just like didn't really find my thing after that. And I was always really good at school. Like, I was smart, but I felt like it wasn't cool to be smart. I was like, I don't want to be smart.
Interesting. Like, when I was a kid, being smart was not cool.
It was not cool. Like, I was literally just talking to a friend about that the other day. Like, how I literally had to talk my vice principal out of, like, taking me out of, like, the higher math class in middle school because, like, I was, like, embarrassed. I was like, I don't want to be in the older math class. Like...
We had GATE is what it's called, Gifted and Talented Education. And I was supposed to be in that class, but I was like, I told my parents I didn't want to be in it. And my teacher was like, you don't want to succeed. Like, most people can go further and you don't want to go far. I'm like, no.
Oh my God. Literally.
I want to be cool.
Yeah, right. Like, it was, like, not cool to be in, like, honors English or... So, to me, like, that didn't give me confidence. That actually made me more insecure.
You're like, damn it, I'm too smart. It's really difficult being beautiful and smart.
Right. Yeah. Like, it's so funny to think back on just the struggles of being in high school. And, man, I do not miss those days.
Me neither.
But, yeah, I mean, that is a really interesting question. And I think I've never really looked at it that way. Like, I don't think I did feel very confident in much, I can't even pinpoint anything, which means that there probably really wasn't anything. It was just kind of, I remember going to college and I didn't even want to go to the college I went to because the one I really wanted to go to, like, I didn't get accepted. And so obviously that didn't give me confidence. Like, I entered into college already feeling like, this isn't really where I want to be. Like, I'm not good enough to be where I want to be. And very unsure of, like, my direction. I don't know what I want to major in. Like, just very, like, distracted. And I didn't want to do as well in school. So I, like, purposely didn't really do that good.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I just didn't really have a thing that I was, like, putting my, like, energy and focus into that I was excited about or anything. So I think, yeah, maybe... just starting to dance, like, I think it really did start to bring out, like, that confidence, and it was something that I felt like I could be good at, and I could feel really good about myself because, guys were like, oh, wow, like, you're so beautiful, and, giving me all this praise, and then giving me money, and it was like, I felt like, okay, for once, I'm, like, feeling really good about myself about something.
I totally understand that. I feel like there was definitely points in my life where I'm like, I should just strip. Like, I've definitely been like, I looked it up. I looked up and found out that you had to have, like, freaking licenses and stuff. Like, I did the research, guys. I just never pulled the trigger. But, yeah, I totally understand.
I feel like every girl wants to.
Yeah, like, some degree. I feel like most
not,
women...
like, actually, like, they were actually thinking about doing it, but, like, yeah.
have like
deep
toyed
down
around with the idea.
The idea is like fun.
Yeah, because it's nice. I mean, if no other, to listeners out there, if you have never danced in front of a mirror in lingerie or like felt sexy like that, you need to fucking do it.
It's just so fun. Yeah,
it really is.
It's like addicting, honestly, and that's part of the reason I kept going back too, because it's like it's just that feeling. Like it's being seen. Like every woman truly wants to be seen, like in her full feminine beauty. I'm reading this really good book right now called Captivating. By Stacey Eldridge, I think it is, and it talks about how every woman has a question from when she is little, and that question is, am I lovely? And like, if you
I want to read it.
It's so good. Literally, like every woman needs to read it. Men too, actually. But
Captivating. Okay.
It's so good. I'm obsessed with it, and it talks about how little girls, it's like that's why they like the twirly skirts, and you know, they like to play dress up and be a princess, and usually the first person that they're trying to get the answer to that question is from their dad. And so it's like that's the first kind of image they have of like a man like pursuing them, and
that's the first idea you have of men. Yeah, that's so true.
And it's like you just want to know, like, am I lovely? Because deep down every woman wants to feel beautiful and seen, and like they're just captivating with their beauty and their feminine essence.
Yeah. Because
that's how we were made. Like that's how our soul was literally created. And so that's what we want. And I feel like what a lot of women have done is put on this like shield, because somewhere along the line they've been told that they're too much or they're not enough, or
the men in our lives fall short.
Right. Yeah.
Over and over. I'm not speaking from personal experience. I'm not hurt. You are. I like leave in a rage. Fuck men. And that's the end of the podcast. I don't have trauma. Fuck men. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I mean, it's true. And it's like we can really put on this like masculine shield if we've been hurt along the line. And I think just with dancing, it allowed me to, like I said, like at first kind of be an alter ego, almost be like a different person.
Yeah.
And be who I wanted to be, like be this like character. But it was really me, but it was a different version of myself that it was like, where else can I be this in everyday life? Because it's not just something that you just, unless you are married or whatever, but it's just different. It's like to be completely empowered as like, in your full like womanness, it's just like such a great feeling to have people admiring you and beautiful and looking at you. And you're just like in your element. Like it really is it's a art, and it's like you just get in this creative zone, and it's addicting, you know?
Well, dancing itself is like, I mean, regardless of what style it is, it's addicting. It's good to move your body and feel like the capabilities of it. It's really really cool.
It's like speaking with your body.
Like it's like a universal language.
Yeah, it's body language.
It's body language.
It literally is though.
And I mean, I love even just taking heels classes. Like that shit feels so good to me.
Yeah.
Even though I'm like,
I still want to take one of those.
Yeah, we have to.
It looks so fun.
Even though like no guys really see me doing it, like I'm not doing it for the guys. I'm doing it for myself because it feels good.
No, absolutely. And that's ultimately what does feel good is doing it for yourself. Yes. Like it's not like the guys watching me makes me feel good. It's literally just the being on the stage and like, you know, just being in that element. That's what's like truly empowering. Yeah. Just like really like getting into your body, out of your head, and kind of just allowing your body to like take over. You know, it's like it's own
like not overthinking.
creature.
It's kind of like working out too. It's almost like this.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Thing.
It is 100%. Yeah.
So you mentioned earlier, I know we're getting more towards the end, but this is like a really good one.
Yeah. I love it.
You said that eventually throughout the years we kind of developed this protective nature and shield. Do you feel like, what was the reason why you, or what was the meaning of that when you said you had to protect yourself? Was it because like men in your life have disappointed you, or like do you feel?
I think when I started dancing, it wasn't like out of any sort of feeling towards men in any way. It wasn't like anything to do with that. But I feel like just working at the club for so long and being in this like career, I guess, for so long has brought out a lot of stuff that I have about men.
Yeah.
You know, so I think that was there, but I think it also was created over the years because I was in like 2 pretty toxic relationships. Well, one very toxic when I first started dancing. That was just like a shit show. But then my most recent one, which was like 6.5 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that was like, it was almost like that and dancing were kind of intertwined together. And so I, like, every time I would try to leave dancing, it wouldn't really work because I was being pulled in by my relationship. And so that was a whole other element that added to me, like, struggling with staying or leaving.
Did your ex work at the club? Or?
Yeah, so he was the DJ.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah, so that definitely kept me, like, tied to it, I feel. And it was, like, interesting because I think it helped the relationship, but it also didn't help the relationship because it was, like, we understood the lifestyle because we were both there.
Yeah.
But then it was also, like, this isn't normal. Like, we shouldn't be seeing each other in this environment. Like, it was just, yeah. So that was a whole element to it. But I think overall, like, I definitely have developed and undone a lot of shields and just defenses that I've had against men just from working at the club. I think it has caused me to definitely have a different view on men. And I've noticed that the more I work, the more I just, like, hate men. And I hate saying that because I really don't hate men. And that's a strong word. But I mean, I just have this, like, judgment towards them and, like, this, like, kind of, like, resentment towards them just in everyday life when they could be, like, the most innocent, nicest man. And I'll just, like, look at him and be like, ugh. Like,
he's too nice.
Yeah, like, it's just, I just don't even want to interact with them, like, in the real world. Like, when I was working, like, a lot, I would notice that. It was, like, I had this, like, dark cloud over me. And I would notice my views and just the way I would perceive men, and, like, it would just be in a very negative way. And when I kind of would stop working there for a bit, I would notice that start to shift. And so it was definitely, like, a big, like, a battle that I had to, you know, I would have this, like, shield up, and then I would kind of let it down, and then I would put it up again, and then have it. So it's been a battle, and I feel like a lot of it I'm still working on for sure. A lot of it coming from just my last relationship and all of that too. Definitely being, like, a part of it. But, like, overall, I feel like with dancing, it definitely caused me to put up a shield, but it also helped me to see the shield that I was putting up, if that makes sense.
Okay. It's just overall increased awareness around
awareness, yeah, absolutely. So I think it's definitely a process, and like I said, it's something I'm still working on a lot, but I feel like overall it's just, you know, like, time and really making sure that I'm surrounding myself with good men, just to remind me that there are good men in the world, which I really do have a lot of good men in my life, and I'm super grateful for that. And I think just in me noticing that and having, like, those men in my life and come in a lot recently, like the past couple of years, that has also pulled me like out of dancing, because it's shown me the type of respect that, like, I deserve and the way that I want to be treated by men. And so then, not to say that all men at the club are assholes, because they're definitely not, but just seeing that, like, polarity between, you know, being respected and appreciated for, like, who I am, like, as Hannah, and then seeing, you know, the polar opposite of that being almost like an object in a sense at the club, and not really enjoying being appreciated in that way anymore. Yeah. Because I got to receive appreciation for who I was. And so once I received that, I was like, well, this is how I always want to be appreciated.
Yeah.
You know, not just for like my body or whatever, like first impression, like it's like, yeah, I'm very much myself at the club, but it's still not like me.
Yeah.
You know, it's like,
it's like a different version
you don't
of you.
know me. Yeah. And it's like, you know me, yeah, exactly, as a different version of me. And that's not that version is bad. Like, that's always going to be a part of me, but it's not like the main version, you know?
Yeah, that's true. Do you feel like, well, I guess I want to hear more about what your next steps are. So have you left dancing completely, or is it kind of like a maybe every once in a while I'll go into it or not so much?
Yeah, so I definitely haven't left fully yet, but I'm on my way.
Yeah.
I really am like, I feel like differently about it, as I kind of like mentioned before, but I actually I told you that I got a serving job recently. So
yeah.
At first I was like, oh my gosh, am I just like going backwards? Like, what am I doing? You know, I'm 29 years old. All these like negative things going on in my head about it.
It's the first thing we do. We attack ourselves.
Yeah, because it's like I've spent
So
all this time
unnecessary.
being an entrepreneur and I don't work for anyone and I have freedom and blah, 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 blah. And so going back to having like a schedule and being like an employee and like all these things, and I'm like, is this really what I want? But honestly, it's felt so good to be just in a different environment. And like I kind of mentioned before, like just being appreciated for who I am with my clothes on, like just being able to fully be myself and not feel like held back and not feel like looked down upon in a specific way, and just fully like really step into myself more and that energy of being able to really like connect with people instead of just being in a business where it's like I'm very much just there for me, like just get in, get out, make the money, leave, like, you know, like not that I didn't care about people, but it was very like I was just like one track mind. Like, I don't want to be here already. Like, I'm here for this reason only.
And the connections weren't like super deep.
Right.
With
it was like I didn't really care to connect with people there. And like I said, you know, I'm not judging. Obviously, I've been in this industry for a long time.
Yeah.
And there's great people. I've met a lot of great people there. But overall, I've just noticed like the environment is not really where I would want to meet people. Not to say that the people there are bad, but I don't want to meet them in that context.
Yeah.
Because it's just, it's just different. And I'd rather meet them in a different way. And like being at a restaurant, it's just, I get to step more into myself as Hannah and really be able to access like more of my gifts in that way, instead of like almost having to like hide myself, you know? So I feel like it's definitely like a change, but it's been really good and it's helping me to, you know, slowly make my way out. I'm still going, you know, if I have free time, but I'm not like putting it like the pressure on myself to like have to go because, you know, how else am I going to make money? It's like now I feel like a little bit more stable. So I'm like, okay, I can go if I really want to, but if I'm really just like not feeling the vibe, like I'm not going to push it. And I found that that's really allowed me to like really maintain a lot more of my energy and not be as like energetically drained like I was before, you know?
Yeah. Talk a little bit about that. Were you, when you say energetically drained, like you mean after working, you weren't able to do other things with your time, or like, how did that feel?
Yeah, I just noticed that I think because it was so out of alignment, it was just so draining. And I don't know if you've ever felt that with anything, but
a lot of things.
Yeah. Like when
relationships even,
relationships for sure. It's like when you start to really become aware that this thing is just not in alignment anymore, it's like it just gets so draining to your spirit when you're there. And it's like you can put up with it for so long, but it gets to the point where it's like it's not worth it.
Yeah.
It's not like a physical or even emotional or mental like tiredness. It's just like a spiritual like draining.
Yeah. It's like a controlled chaos almost, because the incongruency, the difference between like who you believe yourself to be and then what's happening in the external world. It's like, doesn't match up. So it's like,
it's so off. Like, and there's no way to really explain it. It's like, you just have to feel it.
You just feel it. Like, yeah, I wish there was
feel it.
better advice to like help people on how to feel that. But it's like, it's like a gut feeling.
It's kind of just like the more that you work on yourself and the more that you get into alignment with who you really are, the more those things will kind of start to just like pop up and you'll recognize that they're out of alignment. You know?
Oh, it's very much like you said, like you almost have to seek it. Like we're seeking God in the relationship. It's the same thing as you seeking your purpose.
Right.
You have to put an active effort though.
No, absolutely. Yeah. So it just, the more that it fell out of alignment, the more I would just notice, like, I would go to work and I would definitely be physically tired, but it was more than that. It was like, I just I didn't even want to talk to anyone some days, like not even friends, you know, I didn't even want to interact with the world. I didn't want to go outside some days. Like, it was just and it wasn't like I was like depressed or anything. It was literally just like, I don't have the energy to be like putting into anything or anyone. Yeah. Like, I had nothing to give. And it's because it's like, and I guess I never really looked at it in this capacity, which is crazy because it seems so obvious, but it's like, there's so much energy at the club. So much energy.
Oh, yeah, music.
So many different energies. There's so much going on. And there's so many different types of people there. And like, I mean, I'm like getting real up close and personal with these people. And it's like, it's just a lot. And I think I didn't realize the effect that it really had on me until kind of like recently. I really started feeling it because I would definitely feel like physically and mentally and emotionally tired, like at times. But like, as of, I guess, the last year, I would say I started to feel very like spiritually tired because I feel like I've been getting very in line with my spirit and really tuning into my spirit more, not just my like physical body. And in doing so, I've recognized what doesn't line up with my spirit. And so it started becoming like very apparent, and it was just like, damn, like this is not, it just gets to a point where it's like, this is just not worth it. Yeah. I don't care if I'm making $1 million, I'm not doing it.
It's like not worth it to you anymore.
It's not. Like, there's just, because like nothing can buy like your spirit. Like, that is like the most precious thing. And I think the more that you're able to tune into that, the more you feel whole as a being. And no amount of money, no amount of like happiness, fame, like nothing can measure up to that. So it's like, once that feels unaligned, it's just, you just don't care anymore.
You just start to say, fuck it all. Like, you know what? Fuck this.
Right.
I agree. So we are wrapping up here to the last hour. Is there anything for people who are kind of feeling maybe stuck in a certain area in their lives, or maybe feeling some sort of shame or not feeling so proud in what they're doing in their life? Is there any advice that you could give people out there that would kind of help them to start exploring, you know, that personal development, that spiritual side, and all that stuff?
Yeah, I would say definitely just start seeking. Like I mentioned before, I think really just asking yourself questions is a great first step to really getting to know yourself. Like, that's what it really starts with, is getting to know yourself. If you don't feel comfortable with the idea of getting to know God, then get to know yourself. You know, He created you. So the more you get to know you, the more you will in turn get to know your Creator, because He will find you. And so I think if you start to just ask questions and really just like become aware of your thought process, your thinking, notice when you do feel shame or when you do feel any of those kind of negative, like uneasy, uncomfortable type of emotions, ask yourself why. And like, do you feel it in your body? Really starting to get connected with your body and where things are coming up, and really just moving that energy through. I think movement is huge. Like we've both talked about, you know, dancing is medicine. Like I part of what's actually helped me like feel like I can stop dancing and get out of the club is because I've been just doing it on my own, like in my room. Like I literally just take the time and I like just get into my body and I just freaking do whatever I need to do. Like it can look like anything. It doesn't have to be choreographed. It doesn't have to be like this particular way. It's like just put on music and allow your body to move you, and you'll literally find out stuff about yourself. Like, I know it sounds crazy, but it's like literally like things will come up. You'll just like have these like awakenings and you'll like figure things out about yourself, or you'll have like a certain memory that'll pop up and you'll like discover something new about like it. Just do it. Trust me, because
just fucking do it, guys.
It works. Okay. But like you have to like be open-minded, and yeah, I think just creating more awareness around your beliefs, around your values, and just like your feelings and what's causing them, and finding the root of things. And as you start to just ask questions and peel back the layers, like you'll find more layers. It's like an onion. Just keep peeling back the layers, and like as you do so, you'll sometimes just discover. Yeah, sometimes I like that one. That's a good one. Yeah, exactly. And like let it out. Like feel your emotions. Like all that stuff. Feel your emotions. Get into your body. Really ask questions about yourself, and just look at it as an adventure. Like this is an adventure of you discovering more about you.
I love that.
When you can just like approach life in that way, it's like it's not so fucking serious. It's like just have fun. It's like exciting. You're like a character in a movie, and you get to like
you get to play any character.
You get to be whoever you want. And it's like just like ask yourself like who do you want to be, and who are you right now, and how can you get from who you are right now to who you want to be, and just work your way towards that.
I love that. And I think that's a really good note to end on, that you really can reinvent yourself at any point in time in life. And if you really feel like where you live you can't reinvent yourself, then fucking move. Like do things to change your outcome, because clearly, I mean, you've had an entire long history of just different versions of yourself, but each version of yourself is like the best version of yourself each time. So yeah, wow, that was really good. And I feel like a lot of people are going to definitely get a lot from this podcast alone, because I do know, I mean, and I told you too, I have one of my, I guess I don't even know what to call her anymore, but friends.
One of your friends.
Yeah, that is in the dancing industry. And I think that you talking about this has helped me have a little bit more clarity on it as well, because I mean, a lot of people have a whole different idea of what dancing is, but I mean, coming from you put it so eloquently, I guess I'll say. It helps hopefully a lot more people to see that industry is not such a horrible thing, because it really does empower people. And
like I think that is something really important to like touch on, because it's like that is an awareness I do want to spread, is like not like demonizing it, or like the girls in this industry are like, they're freaking hardworking. Like the women in this industry, like they are hustlers, and like they have, each one has their own story, and that's honestly, I remember when I had first started working at the club, that was one of the things I loved, is these women would come up to me and just tell me their life story, and I was like, oh my gosh, they're like actual humans, they're real people. Like, yes, they're real people, of course they fucking are. Like they're just trying to make it work like we all are. It's just another career path, it's just another job, like it's another means of getting by. And you never know where someone's coming from. And I think that's what it's opened my eyes to a lot too, is just you never know where people are coming from. And like, man, I've met all types of people. It's cool, it's cool to see just that variety, and know that there's so many people out there, but like we're all connected in terms of, we all just are trying to make it work. We're all just trying to figure it out. And I think because of that, it's like you can't cast judgment on anyone for what they do. that's their choice, you know?
Yeah.
Screw it. Like, let them be.
Yeah, just let them live their lives, guys.
Yeah, let them live their life, and yeah, hopefully they learn some good stuff from it, you know?
Yeah.
But it's all part of the adventure.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Hannah, for being my second person ever. I'm so happy. You have like one of the most interesting stories. And I always love hearing about, even though we've obviously had these conversations before, but I just love hearing more of the depth of it.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's a ton more that you can tell me.
We just talk about this for hours, literally.
Thank you, Hannah, again. And we are out. I don't have the outro music.